It is Tuesday, June 13th, 2017. I'm Sam Sheffer, quickly approaching age 27. I'll stop saying that once I hit 27. My birthday's on Monday. This is Technically Speaking. This is Lance Ulanoff, our chief correspondent and editor-at-large. He's the only person at Mashable with two titles, I believe. Right. Lance is a special human being. And I brought Lance on to talk iPads. But before we jump into the show, you know, there's a poll. I want to know if you, the person that's watching this, uses an iPad. Do you own one? Do you use one? I have an iPad too. I don't know where it is. That was the last iPad I bought. I don't really have a need slash desire for one anymore. The laptop phone combination does a good job. I also have an Apple Watch that I don't wear anymore. But wow. I'm not saying that the iPad is a bad device. It's just my life. I don't really have a use for one, but I know plenty of people that do use an iPad on a daily basis. Maybe there's one sitting next to me right now. So go ahead and vote on the poll, hashtag yes, hashtag no, and then drop some commentary in the comments. I've got the stream open on my computer, so the comments are pouring in right now. Let me read some. Thevos, Saw, dude, Sparsh, Ulf, Carlson, worth buying. We'll talk. Michelle Yan, yes, I own one. What do you have, Michelle? You have an iPad? Yeah. Which one? You have an iPad mini.
Those
okay.
Are popular.
Rich Ray says yes. Ray, you own an iPad? You're definitely lying. Alex says yes. Which one do you have?
Mini.
You have a mini also. Okay. Eduardo says yes. Matthias says no. Sweet John says yes. So lots of people saying yes. 9.7-inch iPad Pro. Should I upgrade? Paul Dixon. This stream is for you, directly for you. I mean, it's for everyone else too, but
no,
just for him because what we've got. So keep the comments coming. I've got the stream open on my computer, but what we've got besides Lance, Lance has 3 iPads.
That's right.
We've got the 9.7-inch iPad Pro, the one that Apple announced last year. It's pink. Or rose gold.
Rose gold.
We've also got an original iPad from 2010. Lance
this is mine.
Lance has been training to lift that thing live on Facebook. That is the original iPad. It is
still works.
It is a chunkster with tons of bezels, but I gotta say, it's running iOS presumably 5 or 6. It's not on 7, and it is running really smoothly.
I think it's a good question because if I recall, we had to stop at 5. Let's see. Actually, I'll go about
iOS 5.
Yeah, iOS 5. That's
iOS
as far
5.
as it would go. It won't go to 6.
So I bet that it is because the way that 7 and Plus are written will slow down the iPad.
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh, my gosh.
It would. So this is running pretty smoothly. This is an iPad, the first iPad that came out in 2010, and I just want to show you. So let's switch to the other camera here. So bring the iPad Pro.
So this is this is the 9.7, right? You still haven't seen.
So these screens are the same size, but the bezels are laughably different. This looks like an old picture frame, and this looks like a pretty modern tablet. I would say
9.7-inch screen is the screen that we had with the original iPad.
That's right.
Same one we got with the iPad Pro 9.7, which came out after. Yeah.
I just want to show the difference between.
Also, just take a look at this.
Also, when you have the comparison, this is insane right here. I just want to.
This guy is actually. This is almost as thick as the MacBook.
I mean, look at that shell. It's like it looks like when your ceiling leaks and there's just like a sack of water in the ceiling. That's what this looks like. And then this Pro is just so absurdly thin. And then we've got another new device. This is the brand new 10.5-inch iPad Pro that Apple announced.
An Apple case.
That Apple. We'll talk about that hideousness in a second. But this is now the future / present of iPad. I mean, this looks like something. Straight out of 2017. I mean, the bezels are way thin. And it's got the iPhone 7 camera on it now.
12 megapixel camera on the back here. So this is a really clean design, but you will see And you can just
the camera bump right there.
Camera bump right there, which is very similar to the camera bump on the iPhone.
So for everyone watching this, Lance has the brand new 10.5-inch iPad Pro. So right now, the new iPad Pros are 10.5-inch and 12.9-inch. They discontinued, I mean, I'm sure you could still get one if you wanted to, but they discontinued the 9.7-inch iPad Pro.
Yeah,
Why did they discontinue it? Why? Because they were able to fit a 20% larger screen in a surface area.
Right, so this is a 10.5-inch screen, but here, let's take a look at something. We're going to take the old one and put it on top of the new one, because what you're going to see is the physical difference.
It's very, very close to the same size, and you get a 20% larger display.
Yeah, and weight-wise, they're very close.
This is a pound.
Yeah.
Right, and this is probably
just
something.
a little bit below a pound.
Yeah, I mean they're virtually the same.
You can see, you know, it's just as thin.
Does it not have smart connector?
No, it does.
It does. Okay, it does have a smart connector.
That's how you know.
So
let's
run through some of the basics of the new iPad Pro, and then we'll talk about the one kind of standout feature, which is that new screen, the 120 hertz refresh screen. You're not going to be able to see it clearly on this display, but I promise you it is amazing.
The screen, by the way, is the same pixel depth resolution.
Density.
Density. It's 264 ppi pixel per square inch. But there are more pixels here because the screen is a little bit wider and taller than the past one. And I forget the exact numbers, but it's, you know, you get a few hundred more pixels, so more screen real estate, which again, the reason that you care about that is that this is a multitasking device. You know, your
Well,
iPhone,
we don't have iOS 11 on here yet.
No, you can still do multitasking.
Oh, that's right. You can do the split view, right? Yeah.
So you can still do this. Now you're not getting, obviously.
You can't pull up the dock right now.
No, I can't. I can pull up
this
Control
Center,
but you could actually with iOS 11, you'll be able to drag off like another app and like put it on here, so you can actually do 3 apps at once. There's gonna be a lot of stuff that comes with iOS 11 that supercharges
that makes this way more powerful than it is out of the box.
But this is a powerful tablet.
That's right. I would say it is Apple's on specs, on paper, it is factually Apple's most powerful. But when iOS 11 rolls out in September, this thing is going to be a force to be reckoned with, because the multitasking capabilities, and Lance, you could speak to this too. You reviewed this thing, and you've seen iOS 11. The functionality that iOS 11 brings to the iPad is and I said this on the last show. To me, is the biggest leap forward that the iPad has ever seen in terms of software. From iOS 5 to 10, I think we've got incremental, good, great, fine. From 10 to 11, this thing is now a beast.
Yeah, this is really, they're moving into the space, you know, again, why do we care about iPad Pros? It's about productivity. It's about getting things done. These are devices that are intended for work. So something like multitasking, true multitasking, we can do multiple things at once is really important. The ability to mark up documents with the upgraded pencil, which you won't be able to do. It's not the pencil itself that's upgraded, but again, it's the software that's upgraded that's going to be inside of here that's going to change things. So a bunch of stuff that's going to change in here should actually take out.
It does have the speakers on the top and bottom.
Yeah, it's quad speakers. We should talk about on the inside is the A10X Fusion CPU. So this is their fastest.
It is a benchmark beast.
It is. The benchmarks were comparable. They actually beat a Core i5, 6th generation Intel Core i5.
Oh, there we are.
I was like, hey, we're live.
We're live in 2 places at once.
Right. So and it's great when you see benchmarks like that, but it's even better when you see performance. It is able to. So, for example, there's an app on here called Affinity Photo, and this guy does.
Let's bring it back here.
Photoshop level stuff. Let's see if we can.
So, Lance, I saw a bunch of comments, and speak to this after, once we do this demo. A lot of people are asking, I have a current iPad Pro, 9.7, 12 point, whatever it is, 12.9. Should they upgrade to a new iPad Pro? We'll talk about that after. It's a question to be answered after. But, Lance, you didn't draw this, did you?
No, this is a photo.
But it wouldn't surprise me if you did.
No, so there are photos, this is, okay, I'll just give you a sense here of, so this image is comprised of all these pieces. If you've ever worked in Photoshop, you know that the more layers, the more elements you have in a photo, the more complex it becomes, the more you're pressing on the CPU.
This is like a full-blown Photoshop.
Oh yeah,
in a
and
sense.
so I'm like, I can turn off stuff. You can see little elements disappear. There, the background goes.
Was this created on this with a pencil?
No, now so there you can get rid of her, and actually we can. Let's see if we can do this. Hold here, and then see if I can. Oh, I can't quite do it here. I was trying to make her. I should be able to. You can actually clone stuff, but I'm not quite. Oh, there you can see me do it with my finger, but. I mean, what's happening here?
Oh, wow.
This is real time.
Wow.
On an iPad. I'm doing pro level Photoshop work. I mean, I did it with my fingertip. You can certainly do it with the pencil. Very, very powerful stuff. No compromises. That's why you want it. And of course, they have upgraded. So this is the new smart keyboard, which is larger. Okay, I'm going to pop it on there.
And doesn't it lean back a little bit as your
this
main
is
thing?
So I'll put it next to the original because this is for the 9.7. Put it here.
It's definitely a little bit
Okay.
different.
So now you've got the two keyboards next to each other, and right away you can see this guy is bigger,
It is.
keys are more spread out, the typing is going to be more comfortable.
It's wild what a couple of millimeters will do for an experience.
Yeah, so you can type, and the typing experience is pretty good. Now, this is again, it's a cover, so you don't have a ton of travel on the keys. You don't have a clicky feel to it, but
So they're just. Oh, they push down. They definitely push
do,
down.
but you don't like. The response is maybe a little bit smaller than you
It's
might be used to
shallow.
with the regular keyboard, but it's still really good. The keys are bigger than the keys on the 9.7, so you're gaining a lot just by going to a 10.5
And
inch
also,
system.
it's pretty cool that you just snap it on and it works. You
Yeah.
don't need to connect
You
over
don't have
Bluetooth
to-
or anything. It just totally works.
You don't have to think about anything. And just as far as the position of the screen, you can actually see it right here. These guys are lined up at the bottom, but this guy's leaning back a little bit more. Again, it's a subtle thing.
Yeah, like if these two are lined up over here on this plane, and then there's like a little bit more.
Yeah, it's just that
it's
the screen
leaning
just
back a
leans
little
back,
bit,
and that's
yeah.
again, it's pointed more
Feels
up
a
at your
little bit
face.
better.
You can get, and you see Microsoft Word is
But
here,
it's
right?
it's no Surface that you can do kind of unlimited angles, right?
No.
No.
This is your angle. This is it. But I do like that. I think it's really cool. And of course, we should talk about what they did to the screen technology.
Yes. So how's the new refresh rate? The new ProMotion with 120 hertz makes the screen that much different. Shiv. Yes. And Tyler Robb says, Shiv, 120 hertz is a huge difference maker. It should be the new standard everywhere on screen. Before it was just for gamers, but touch input benefits it from greatly. So I want to talk about this new screen because I am a pretty big iOS and Apple hardware nerd, and no joke, every time you see the new iPad, you see the new iPhone, I do this, this kind of like test where you just like rub your finger across the screen really quickly and see how fast it responds. And every single iOS device, I'm like, this thing is so fast, it's so smooth, it's so buttery. But with the new iPad Pro, I think these phones have a 60 hertz refresh rate. And
that's pretty standard.
That's pretty standard, I would say. This has a 120 hertz refresh. Now, if you have a television that you have this like True Motion technology on, you may notice like your TV looks like fast forwarded sometimes. That's because you have the setting on, and the TV programming is not meant to have that work. With the iPad, it dynamically changes the refresh rate of the screen. It'll optimize how fluid it needs to be. When I saw this iPad at WWDC in Apple's little showroom that they had set up, it really hit me just like, this is going to be the new standard. Oh, I closed my laptop. I want to have the stream up. I really think this 120 hertz refresh rate is going to be the new standard. I think we're going to see it in the new iPhone. It's now in the iPad Pro 10.5 and 12.9, right? It's in both. And is this True Tone? This is a True Tone display,
Yes,
right? This is True Tone display. It is really kind of crazy, and you're never going to be able to see it on the stream because I think we're doing 24 frames per second.
No, I'm faster.
Right? So you will not be able to see the fluidity. But if you're watching this and you have an Apple store near you, I'm not saying to go waltz in there and spend $1,000 on a new iPad, but go check it out. Go open a web page, flick your finger, watch how fluid. Here's a good example. If you're flipping, if you're scrolling through Twitter and the stuff gets blurry sometimes because you got to see it in person. I can explain it from here to the moon, but there's a big difference, a very big noticeable difference, I think.
So let's think about what this means in
I just rambled for 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Practical sense. Why do you want the screen to refresh quickly? So here's a good example. This is the Apple Pencil. All right, this is called Procreate. And when you're drawing on screen, you want it to feel as if the ink, the digital ink, is flowing out of the tip of the pen. The faster the screen can redraw will help decrease what's called the latency. So you're on erase.
Okay.
So when you're drawing on here, you're not going to feel. Yeah, there's obviously this pressure sensitivity until.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So if we take, we'll do inking. So, and I'll press lightly, then I'll press hard. But you see what's happening here. I mean, I'll lighten it up. And I'm going slow right now, but I can go fast. I don't really have to think about.
Oh, wow, you're drawing a face.
And I can go pretty much as quickly as I want.
Does this feel better than the last week's iPad? Does this, because of the new screen technology, does it feel, do you notice a difference at all? It's hard to say.
It's really hard to say. So the iPad Pro 9.7, which I use for quite a bit, already has, I believe, the A9X chip.
Yep, and it had the True Tone display.
A True Tone display, very responsive. I didn't notice a lag. It has been really difficult to press this tablet beyond its capabilities at any level. But I will say that the screen, what I think is happening with the screen refresh technology is definitely best experienced when you're doing something like drawing because it feels like the real thing. It feels like you're drawing on paper. I've been drawing, of course, digitally for a long time, but this, it's just, there's nothing.
It feels natural.
It feels natural.
And I guess you kind of get somewhat of haptic tactile feedback because you're pushing against the surface. Does the pen tip kind of give a little bit? It does.
It does, but you're not.
It does a little bit.
What happens when you're drawing on a screen is you quickly get used to you feel it, like how hard to press because you see immediately the results.
Right.
So you're never putting tremendous force.
Right. But even just playing with it now, it is so accurate. It is really so accurate.
Yeah, it's accurate.
But this fares well against Microsoft's, right?
And we know that when I spoke to Microsoft, I guess it was a month or so ago when they introduced the Surface Pro, one of the things they did focus on heavily was the pen technology and the pen and ink technology to decrease latency.
This is 20 milliseconds latency right now?
Yeah, which is pretty crazy, and I forget what Microsoft is on the Surface
it's close.
Pro.
I believe it's close.
So there's a bit of an arms race going on there, and those devices are in some ways designed to compete with each other. The Surface Pro is a full-on Windows 10 PC. Apple has still 2 channels. They have the Mac OS with MacBooks, MacBook Pros, and iMacs, and they had the iMac Pro, and they have their tablets,
the mobile
which run the mobile stuff, which all runs iOS. So it's not entirely the same, but I can do virtually everything on here. I do have Microsoft Word on here. I can get my work done pretty much with no compromises right now. I can't wait for the new iOS update.
So
this guy is more expensive than a traditional iPad. Like you can get an iPad, like a standard 9.7-inch iPad now for like $3.
They rebranded the iPad Air. It's now just called iPad.
Yeah,
that was Like in March
they've pretty much dropped with one exception. They've mostly dropped the whole Air idea. There is a MacBook Air with a CPU update, but they haven't done anything else to it. So yeah, you have the standard iPad, which is cheaper now than ever. I think it might be like
I think it's like $350 or $400.
No, it's even cheaper than that. But especially for education, you get a really affordable one. But this guy is like I think he's $649, and that does not include the pen, which is going to run you like $99, or the smart keyboard, which I think is might be $129. I don't know if I've got all those prices right, but so if you want a productivity system, you kind of have to buy all these things. By the way,
iPad is $329 now for the lowest.
That's right.
That's
see,
cheap.
By the way, Microsoft does the exact same thing. You get a Surface Pro, you still have to buy the keyboard, and you still have to buy the Surface Pen.
They'll get you. They'll get you with those extras. So Lance, for people that are watching that have the now last generation 12.9-inch iPad Pro or the 9.7-inch iPad Pro, what do you say to them if they ask if they should upgrade?
All right. Well, if you have either one of those devices, they're still excellent. You don't have to race to upgrade and buy this. There's no reason to do that.
Because they'll both get iOS 11.
Yeah, they're going to be really capable of handling it. That's going to you're going to feel like you got a new tablet when you get iOS 11 because of how it's going to transform the utility of that and make it, the file system that's coming. Like there's an app called Files that's like the Windows Explorer. It's like you can be able to drag.
Like Finder. Like you can do Finder
drag and drop. You're going to be dragging and dropping stuff. You're going to be able to find files in folders. You're going to have all this crazy multitasking. That is without even buying these new guys.
But what you don't get is that screen.
You don't get the screen. You don't get the latest camera because even so it's interesting because the 9.7-inch Pro does have a better camera. Okay, but it's still not it's still not as good as this. So we got a better camera than the 12.9-inch Pro.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
So that's one thing.
Okay,
but
that's right.
This guy, the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, has the exact same camera as the iPhone 7. And I think I showed you. I'll show you again.
You took that photo.
So like these are photos that I took.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, this is a really beautiful.
It just looks so good on the big screen.
Yeah. I mean, these are. Oh, and by the way, yes, live photos. But they do not have, and Apple has no interest in doing it for some reason. They won't even tell me why.
What?
Taptic Engine. There is no 3D touch on this.
I noticed that too, and the response I've seen is it's going to be hard for them to get the screen to vibrate.
Selfie camera is updated too.
They say it's hard to get the Taptic Engine properly functioning across such a large surface.
Unless they put multiple motors, which is going to slow it down. It's not.
I think it's interesting that it doesn't have the home button either, the new home button. And if Apple's getting us ready to get rid of the home button, does that mean they're going to keep the home? Like the only iOS device that'll have a home button is going to be the iPad now? I don't know.
So you can shoot, of course, 4K video. It looks really good. You do have optical image stabilization.
I was just going to ask you. I wonder if this is optically image stable.
You do have, So you've got, this is high quality camera. So we were talking about whether or not you need to upgrade. So if photography is your thing and you're like desperate for the best camera.
I mean, if you're shooting on an iPad.
Yeah, then sure. Get the latest and greatest. But, I think that without a doubt, this is the best iPad that Apple has ever produced. Easy. It might be a reason for people to get back into the iPad game if they've stepped away and haven't really looked at it again since the original iPad.
Kind of like me.
Because this is more than just a content consumption device. And for a long time, we got stuck on that. Oh, why did I get an iPad? Well, you can watch movies.
Yeah, you can watch Netflix, look at Netflix.
You can be on the web and watch YouTube videos. But it's more than that. This is a get stuff done device. I think they have, bless you. And once they have fully realized this with iOS 11, it's going to be unbeatable. It's going to be right up there with something like a Surface Pro, especially for the Mac audience. And if you're in the iOS, the Apple ecosystem, then you've got your iCloud. Things are all synced up. You've got your sign in here, and so things work together. You pick up where you left off across devices. So I think it's a really good device. It's not a cheap device.
No.
Not a cheap device at all, but if you think of it as more than a tablet, I think that you will start to decide that, oh, this is a really good price. So here's an example. Walk into a computer store and look at...
Computer store?
A computer store, if you can believe it. Or go online.
CompUSA, The Wiz?
Yeah, Micro Center. They still exist. So take a look online at some computer prices and look at something in the $700 range and look at the components that you get there. And one of the things you'll notice that you won't have like the most powerful CPU. You know, you might have like a Core i3. So you're going to get what is, even though this is a mobile processor, this is as powerful as a desktop and not middling power either. Really good power. You know, obviously you play games, video, you know, all of those things you can do.
And the iPads still have good battery life? Because I remember when I had my iPad, that battery life is insane.
10 hours.
Okay.
Battery, it's funny because
battery life on the iPhone sucks.
Well,
period.
okay, hold it up again. Here's the obvious answer. Let's take a look.
And the size.
This is tiny. This is big. What do you think is going in all
this
space?
This has, you know, enough room for 3 iPhone batteries.
So basically, a lot
It's
of
all
the space
battery in
in
there.
here is battery.
Yeah.
So they've always been really good on battery. This is supposed to get you 10 hours.
Which I bet it will.
I've certainly gotten that.
Yeah.
They are really good at battery life management on the iPad. I rarely open it up and it's not ready to go. I would say the tougher part for battery management has to be the pencil. If you use it a lot, you may get a little frustrated.
Okay.
Microsoft does a better job with its the battery on the Surface Pen, which uses a quad A battery. And it lasts like for a year or more.
Yeah, but you don't get this. You don't get 5 minutes and...
5 minutes and you get some charge, although I've always thought this looks ridiculous.
It does, but it's really cool that you can plug it into the iPad and it charges.
I want actually an adapter. I want an adapter that can run a little cable. I just feel like this is good, like to like somebody knocking into it.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't know why they haven't done this, where you can just snap it onto the. That doesn't work. So we've got this new cover. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this, and then we'll take some comments. I don't know how to work this. Apple and their covers. So yeah, this is the new. It's Is it silicone?
No. This is actually this is a leather case
with a slot for the pencil.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you something. That's not bad, and I'll tell you why that I like this. So let me show you what happens in my life. It's like I have this, and I'm working on it, and I'm like I put the pen here. I put it on the front. But that's not working. I can't type. I put it here, and then it rolls off the table, or I put it over here, and it rolls off the table, and then I'm starting to lose my mind. I try and put it over my ear. That doesn't really work. Oh, a little bit.
No way.
So having this case, I just like slide it in here, and I'll turn it around if you can see it. Just pop it in. They also are selling like separate little cases for it, but I don't entirely understand what the purpose is of that, just to protect it. Actually, I know what it is, because the one other thing that I really don't like about the Apple Pencil, as much as I do like it.
How big it is?
No, is this. When I charge it, I have to figure out how not to lose this.
Yeah.
This is sort of
I'm surprised they didn't do a clicking mechanism like regular pens do, where that would shoot out instead of just having it built to the top.
They don't like mechanical stuff like that, and also they like magnets, and that's what's going on here. You've just got a little magnet.
They should put a second smart connector on the top, and you should be able to drop the pencil on there when you're not using it, and it'll be charging. You're welcome.
Maybe the next time.
Yeah, maybe the next time.
Leather. I think this is might be like
how much is that? $80?
No, it's like $120. It's expensive. It's like $129.
Oh my goodness!
But I'll show you how it works. You can actually fit your tablet in there with
the keyboard. That's pretty nice, I guess.
Slide this right in.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Then you're like.
Oh, and also actually, if you're smart, which I'm not at this point, but if you're smart, you do this. You slide it in like this, and I'll show you why. And you keep the lightning port available so you can charge it. And then your pen goes here like that.
And you've got $15,000 worth of Apple products.
So this is all premium. But if say, Father's Day's coming up, so say Dad got one of these, one of these, then you and the kids can all get together and buy him this. And he'll be like, what are you, crazy?
Yes.
I've never felt the need to. So the only case that I really specifically bought with my iPad was this one. This was the very first
I remember
iPad
this
case.
piece.
And it's but it actually is held up really well.
And this thing is 7 years old at this point,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So that's
And
how
it really functions like it is like it functioned on day one.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah,
it totally
and I
actually
think
works.
gosh, I barely remember how to do this. Oh yeah, right.
Oh wow.
So this doesn't stay up in here like the way it should. So you really kind of
I don't remember
have
how
to
this thing worked at
yeah,
all.
you kind of have to slide it like that. But basically, you could.
Oh my goodness, it's a disaster. But this iPad still totally works.
Look at the old notepad. Every skeuomorphism like crazy.
Jeez.
Look at that. Isn't that crazy?
Hideous.
This is
just pure
You
hideous.
You forget.
This operating system looks so outdated.
Wait,
No, the best YouTube app built right into iOS,
Yeah.
like it's 2010.
By the way, so this is the original App Store, logo, and App Store is about to get a major upgrade, and so that'll
right.
also come along around the same time as.
You're meant to tuck this in.
Yeah, I forget. It's been a long time since I've done this.
That's not great design either.
No, and
someone
it's
just commented.
Yeah.
All right, now we can see. All right, I'm going to read some comments. Paul Dixon, I hope you enjoyed what we had to say so far. If money's not an object and you can sell your old iPad, I would say do it and get the new one because that screen is amazing. But if you have the current last generation, the 12.9 and 9.7, I think you'll be all right. But that screen really might change your mind on what it's like to use a tablet because I don't think I've ever seen a tablet with such a fast refresh rate before. Steve Jobs rolling over in his grave right now. Do you guys know anything about the Adobe apps developments? I'm not sure.
Well, Adobe develops. There's a whole bunch of apps built specifically for the iPad. Excellent apps. And of course,
someone else asked too, or the same person asked, are we going to see some bigger developments on Adobe apps for photo and video editing that you guys know of? The current app options aren't complete enough, and I still need to go back and forth from a MacBook and iPad Pro. Great question.
Well, yeah, and I think it is interesting because when I showed you the Affinity Photo, what I found interesting about that product is it is a full photo editing product. And what Adobe has done is they've given a bunch of pieces in distinct products, but you don't have like the full-blown Photoshop, for example.
Right, you can't use Premiere Pro the way you can on here.
So I still edit, and I've two apps that I've used on an iPad Pro for video editing. iMovie, of course, which is much more powerful than you realize, especially if you know where the hidden features are, and Pinnacle. So Pinnacle has a really good video editing app, which is I would say the interface is not great, but the power is essentially, they're like, yeah, take the whole thing from the desktop and jam it in here. And they did it because they know it can handle it. Because one of the things I had trouble with was a certain format of 4K video from, I think, one of the drones I was flying. So Pinnacle actually handled it. That's about a codec. That's not about a resolution thing. But again, I think app developers need to stop thinking of this as a limited tablet device and think of it as a full-blown computer that can do virtually anything with the benefit of touch, because you're going to be able to get real stuff done.
I just want to add, though, I think it's really important to mention how powerful the keyboard is. Not like this Apple keyboard, how good the Apple keyboard is, but I don't want to downplay the physical keyboard, because I've said this before, and if you follow me on Twitter and you kind of follow me on the internet, you know how I feel about having like a glass face as the input mechanism for these mobile devices. To me, and let me know if you agree or disagree, but having a physical keyboard with multiple buttons and like a mouse and a trackpad adds so much layer of input complexity to this iPad. I don't know what you're doing right there, but that looks awesome. So I think that Lance has a very good point about how the device itself is so powerful in combination with the pencil. But you give me an iPad Pro, this one with the keyboard and I guess like a kind of redesigned UI for Premiere, and I can edit on this thing, I'd love to.
So you can hear.
It's loud.
There's quad speakers. You see, there's two sets here, two sets there.
Can you just get in this game? And
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Let's see if we can say.
Claim all your rewards.
This is like my.
And is this even optimized for the brand new iPad, or this is just like a game?
Just a game.
I don't think this is pushing as many pixels as it can.
So let's see
In terms of, let's see if this will run at 120, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's always looked really good. I'll turn the
No,
volume
so it's
down a
not.
little
It's not
bit.
running at a full 120. It doesn't look like.
It's probably not optimized.
No. I mean, this is going to be perfect. You will have a perfect gaming experience doing this. There will be zero lag when you play this game.
Yeah, there's
now,
no...
all right, so I will give you my first-person commentary feedback. It could be smoother. Like, I know what it's like to play games at 60, and I certainly know what it's like to play games at 120. This is definitely not doing 120. You know, when you're swiping through the icons on the home screen and, you know, flicking through Safari, it definitely looks smoother than this. That is not to say that this looks bad. This is not taking full advantage of what this iPad offers.
Yeah, and, you know, this
Were
app...
you just doing some OpenGL stuff before? What was that? That demo?
Oh, that was a
you were just
3D.
spinning?
That's an app for basically editing 3D objects,
Okay.
building like 3D environments. I think it's called Shaper.
Okay.
And you could just see how smooth that was. So if an app is optimized to take advantage of this frame rate, you're probably going to see some really cool stuff. And this game is always run really well. And you know, the thing is, what you have to remember about an app like this, a game like this, is it's not just the movement and stuff. You have to take a look at all the stuff that they've rendered around it, the smoke, the reflections.
The sky, I mean, everything. And this is running really smooth. There's
this
no
runs really
doubt about
smooth
that
and,
whatsoever.
You know, and this is like literally my favorite game. I play this at all different levels all the time. So then we're gonna do the big jump. Here we go. Oh dear.
Nope.
I had
And
a
that's
feeling that was going to happen.
I want to go back to the home screen really quickly,
Yeah.
just so we can see if this is going to be made clear. Yeah, no way. So I'm watching it on a secondary monitor here in the studio, and with my eyeballs, I mean, it is buttery smooth. Yeah. Can you grab yours? I want to do a top to bottom comparison. Just swipe back and forth with me. Here, go on top so we can get more. Let's do this.
All right. Let me make sure it's bright enough. All right. So.
All right. So now just like flicking through, yeah, you cannot. There's no visual difference on the screen. That's our monitor right here in the studio. But ladies and gentlemen, for you watching at home, I want you to go to an Apple store and flick through the home screen, and like it looks like liquid flowing across the screen. It is really something special. And they've gotten, this is something that I always look for when I get a new iOS device. How close to the glass surface is the LCD? This is like the icons are right there on the glass.
It's so funny because when you look at
when you look at an original iPad, it is sunk beneath. You can really see the difference.
Yeah, you can actually you see a distance. Hold it like this, and you see the distance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can literally physically see between the bezels and the screen.
The gap, basically what they've done, and this is what all...
you can still see it here, actually. Now that you're pointing it out, it's not nearly as dramatic.
Oh, yeah. The gap is really cut down. They also have, the reflection on their screens. They've really cut down on the reflectivity. So you could...
Oh, wow, they totally have.
Yeah, and if you use it outside, because some people still try to do that, it'll be better. It's still tough on the outside to see a backlit screen.
It's not OLED.
Yeah.
It's still LCD.
No, it's still an LCD.
But I would argue LCDs are easier to see in the sun, right?
LCDs as opposed to OLEDs?
Yeah. I feel like
OLEDs are going to be easier to see because each diode. It's because instead of relying on the basically fluorescent light on the back.
Right. It's the one panel. This is lighting up each individual pixels. So in my experience, I've felt like iOS devices always look better than Samsung devices outside. But in any event, we've rambled for now. I don't know what 40 minutes we've been live for. 40 minutes.
By the way,
that's what happens. Well, that's the headphone jack still there. That's what happens when two Apple nerds geek out live on Facebook. But Lance has his full review up of this iPad on Mashable.com. You should check it out. So let's take a look at the poll. I'm curious to know if you own an iPad. Let's see. So 67% of you say yes, 30% of you say no. these rubber bands are giving me circulation issues, so I'm going to take them off. That's why my wrist has been feeling tingly lately. Are you going to buy an iPad? I think, I said this before, this is the best iPad that Apple's ever put out. If there was a time that you were going to buy an iPad for yourself or for someone else, for graduation, for whatever, for work, you buy this I wouldn't recommend the 12.9 inch. That thing is absolutely gigantic.
It's an excellent device.
But it is gigantic.
Yeah, and if it weighs a pound and a half.
It's huge. It's too big.
If you're an artist,
sure,
you may want that big canvas.
But if you're an average everyday person, not that average is bad at all. I just think that, and it's funny.
Folks.
I've got a bunch of friends who have the 7 Plus, and they're just like fumbling with it all day. Sometimes the screen is just too big.
Yeah,
there were Apple ads back in the day.
You couldn't do what I'm doing right now with the 12 point.
Unless you were Shaquille O'Neal.
Right. Then maybe. By the way, basically 4 gigs of RAM.
4 gigs of RAM. What is that? 2.4 gigahertz.
2.4.
I remember when I got my first Mac laptop when I was 17, 18, going to college, and it was like 2.3 gigahertz. And I was like, oh, it's so fast. Now it's on the iPad. All right, we're done. Show's over. That's it. No more ranting about the iPad. You can read all about it on Mashable.com. Lance, thanks for being here. This was Technically Speaking iPad Pro Special. Go check it out in an Apple store so you can see, because all of my explaining will not do the screen justice. And we'll see you Friday. Thanks for watching.